Listen up, Rangers! Welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve.
And my name's Arnes.
And today we're going over Godzilla 1954.
The movie. Not the figure, the movie.
Yeah, sadly, NECA figure's not actually out yet, so we're going to go over the actual film, which what we watched was the English dub. We might do the Japanese dub for the next video, if we get time, because money. Yay.
Money!
Gotta make that money, son. But how we're going to be doing these reviews is, as you can imagine, I've seen these Godzilla movies. I've seen all the Godzilla movies. I've seen a ton of giant monster movies. And what we're going to try to do is every Friday, we're going to put out a new monster movie. And we're going to start with the Godzillas going in order. But how we're going to do this review is to keep it a little bit fresh, especially since I've already seen these movies, is Arnes actually hasn't barely seen any Godzilla movie. At all.
That's not true. I saw the 98 one.
Exactly. So,
so as of right now, it's not a good start towards the Godzilla movies.
Yeah, he's already on a downward spiral. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make him watch every single one of these movies, and then give you guys his opinion on it, and also mine, so you get a more veteran review and also a fresh take on the movies. So how we're gonna start this review is we're gonna go over the plot, what we thought of the plot. The monsters, like how the suit looked, were the monsters cool, did we enjoy them? And 3, overall, the props, fighting, pretty much the aesthetic of the film.
Can't do the acting, because
yeah, it's a little harder to gauge the acting, especially since a lot of this stuff we're probably going to be watching the dubbed version of it, so with them going over the actual Japanese dialogue, it's just kind of hard to gauge how good the acting is just by some random dude's voice that they inserted into the film. So we're going to glance over that part and just kind of bring it up in the overall story element of it. Alright, so for starters, what did you think of the story? Oh, if you guys don't know the story for Godzilla 1954, shame on you. But,
shame on me, because I never watched it. I'm sorry.
Exactly. So pretty much the premise of the movie is that a ship gets randomly destroyed by something, not sure what, but they decide to go check out this island where they hear that there is a myth of a giant monster that the natives kind of fear on the island. And come to find out that the giant monster is actually real, and it's Godzilla, and then carnage ensues.
The overall plot is not bad. There's certain things about it that would bug me, like how they pasted out. What's his name again in there?
Oh, Steve Martin, or as you know as the actor Raymond Burr.
Steve Martin. All right, we're just going to compare him to John Connor in the Terminator movie.
Salvation?
Yeah. He just randomly appears in shots, and he's like, hey, this is an American dub you're watching. Keep on
I'm
watching.
here to make this relatable.
Yeah. It's like one of the only things that actually bug me about is just him, how he just appears out of nowhere. And then you can tell it was taped on 2 different things, but I get it. It's the 50s.
Yeah, you kind of tell that the video quality is slightly better when you get towards the American part of the film. And then when you hop back and forth between the scenes, especially since you never actually see any of the Japanese actors with him. There's one scene in particular where Steve Martin's talking to Dr. Yamane, where you can clearly tell that it is 2 different people because the hairstyle on the back's just ugh. So it's one of those things, when you're paying attention to it, it's there. But for the most part, especially when I initially watched the film, it wasn't that big of a deal. I still enjoyed Steve Martin in the film. He did his job.
Yes, he did a job. Make sure you know that this is the American version.
Yes. Although, at least for the plot, was weird that he kind of, it didn't make really much sense why he was actually so focal to the actual story. Because it was everybody seemed to divulge their secrets to him, and especially since he's a news reporter. Probably not the guy you really want to go spoiling everything to.
Yeah, he had something. It was some kind of superpowers that we didn't know about.
He had the superpower of observation. Because stuff was about to happen, and he made sure you knew that it was about to go down.
Everybody had to tell him their secrets.
Yeah, everybody. Just like when the first time Godzilla shows up, where he's just like, we didn't have to wait long, and then Godzilla's like, huh? But overall, personally for me, the plot works. For the American dub, it's very simplistic, and you lose a lot of the plot elements that you got from the Japanese one. Because you have to interject Steve Martin into the story, so you lose a little bit of the overall storytelling that you got with the original.
So definitely you would have to watch the original too, huh?
Yeah, so we're probably going to be watching the original just to give it a little better assumption.
Because there was a few parts I was confused at, because I had no idea what was going on, because it's jumping way too much. So.
Yeah, he's asking me, he's like, why is the kid staying with Dr. Yamane? why does the Navy guy love this girl? Why is he even in the picture? I don't understand. Why is Godzilla bubbling?
You just have to cut those scenes to put him in there.
Yeah, so it's especially for like when he's watching it, it was just like it's a little more confusing when you're watching it initially. So overall the plot's pretty simple. There's not really a whole lot going on with it. It's your standard monster movie. By standard I mean it was the standard bearer for this kind of genre. Monster's a myth, but hey, the monsters are actually real. The monster destroys things. We have to destroy the monster. You get it. Now on to the more important part of the movie, Godzilla. What'd you think about Godzilla?
Which one?
All of them. There's a
right.
few random versions of Godzilla. It's the same Godzilla, but you get the suits. You got the puppet that they were using for some of the more close-up scenes.
Okay, so like the first puppet that appears, which is like the first time he appears, not the foot.
Oh yeah, where he just randomly destroys that one building. Everybody seemed to miss it. Even though everybody stared, especially like you got Steve Martin like hugging the tree with the random Japanese officer. They're just like watching everything happens, and they're just like, "Yeah, we missed it.
We didn't see nothing."
Yeah, we don't know what could have happened. There's just a random footprint here now too. Crazy.
It's like there's the part where they're like everybody's like, "Oh, he's coming! Run to the hills!" Everybody runs to the hills. As they're coming up the hill, it's just like the puppet appears from the hill.
It just comes over the top, just like, "Sup, bitches?"
Oh, that part looked really bad. I'm sorry, but that puppet just is not. The rubber suit. Oh man, they got it going on with that rubber suit.
Yeah, the rubber suit's pretty gorgeous in that film,
Yeah.
especially for how old it is. Like, it looks really good, even with the whole derpy eyes and everything.
Oh, the puppet though, the eye. Oh,
Just-
eye.
Especially love like when he's rising out of the water, where he kind of has like that little lean to him. It's got a little bit of swag.
Poor guy had stroke or something. They make fun of him.
Except twitches in the suit. So the suit looks pretty good, but the only thing is it's just Godzilla for this movie. There's no other monster he fights in the film. It's just him and his wanton destruction that he causes on Tokyo.
I mean, I get it. It's the first movie, introduction to Godzilla, whatever. You can't put any other monsters and otherwise, But yeah, there's like no comparisons, just him and.
Yeah, especially for me, I really love the other Godzillas where he's generally fighting somebody, and those are just the ones I enjoy a little bit more because it's just like watching a giant epic wrestling match. Well, this one's more of just the overall beauty of the destruction that is being ravaged by Godzilla throughout this film.
Well, see, we were looking at it from the wrong point of view. He was fighting the most dangerous creature, humans.
It's us.
Yeah. Because we put up some wires and like a whole day, like the entire city was covered in wires, and he's just.
That's something that's actually pretty cool about the film in terms of Godzilla, because pretty much throughout the course of the film, he's just kind of doing what you expect a giant monster of his size to be doing, which is just kind of
Eat trains and step on people.
Just walking through things and just clearing a path for himself in the process. He's just doing what he's going to do, And then we start attacking him. Of course, he's going to get upset, and start breathing atomic breath and everything.
It was not atomic breath. That was an extinguisher.
Fire extinguisher?
Yeah.
He was trying to put out the fires.
Yeah, see, he was trying to help.
He was trying to help. He wasn't totally
everybody
melting
just
things.
getting mad at him and everything. It's not fair. Guy was just trying to help. He's like, "Oh man, I'm sorry I stepped on your house. Let me put that out for you."
And everybody's like, "Ah!"
So the overall Godzilla suit looks really good. The rubber part, the puppet, I wasn't a fan of, but I understand. Like the certain scenes where there's no CGI. So
you got the limitation where you need those really good close-up shots of the monster moving his mouth. It's a little bit hard to do with the guy inside the suit because then he has to control the suit, and with the original one being a stupid heavy suit, it's just really hard for him to actually have to articulate himself while also being able to just feasibly move around. It's a little bit easier to do with just a little hand puppet,
Still, overall, the rubber suit's still probably one of my favorites I've seen so far.
Yeah, I was just say out of the two.
Well, that's
way better than that CGI one we saw way back when.
I was gonna say that's not true. I saw the new Godzilla movie, the whole 14 minutes of Godzilla.
You pretty much get that in here, though. You even get like the little cock teaser where you just see his foot, and then him briefly, and then you gotta wait and deal with Steve Martin for the most of the film, and then you finally get Godzilla walking through some stuff.
So yeah, that
and you guys complain about 2014.
Yeah. Watch the 54. You'll see.
You'll appreciate that movie a little bit better. So, what do you think of the special effects?
You don't want me in this one, trust me.
Aww.
Overall, like, it's not bad. Like, I understand 50s, budget was like $16.
That was a lot back then.
I get it.
Inflation.
You know what? I take that back, because there's that one scene with the helicopter.
Oh, the one on the beach where he's kind of like...
No. The one after, like, he destroys a city.
Oh, the jets?
No. Wasn't that the... Yeah. It was the beach. It was the beach part.
Yeah.
And then, like, you can just see, like, the toy helicopter that was made out of wood. And then it accidentally tips over and falls apart. Yeah. And it falls apart. And they just left that in there. And I was like, oh, man, that was...
Oh, yeah, well, the storm was blowing and it destroyed the helicopter. How are they going to get back? Even though they do get back, so it's like...
you see my issue?
But overall, like... It works. Like, surprisingly with the black and white films, like, the strings hide actually a little bit better in those. So, it really helps to kind of keep you in the movie. Instead of you just in there like, oh, I can see the wires on the guy's tail, or, oh, well, there's, like, you can see, like, the tracks of the things coming around. But overall, like, it hides pretty well, especially with pretty much everything just being more realistic toys. Especially with the buildings, where the guys actually have to literally assemble all of those buildings, put the shingles on it. It's pretty much like just a miniature house that guys will just go stomping through, and it looks good.
That guy had the best job, man. Somebody just spent like 30, 40 days building that one house, and he's just like, fuck
yo house.
Pretty much. It's like, that's what he did.
Yeah.
Greatest job ever. Like, I wouldn't mind being that guy.
That's what I love about these like older movies, where it's like they didn't need like a ton of CGI to get the job done, Just a bunch of little model props, some little explosions, and guys in rubber suits stomping through buildings. It was as much realism as I needed.
Well, there was some few questionable parts. I mean, like, on the beginning when the ship is already sunk in the water, and then jumps into the scene of them reporting from the ship, and then it explodes, and then it goes back to the scene, and the ship is a little bit up higher in the water, it's still sinking down, but...
Yeah, you get a few weird things like that.
It's still not bad, though.
I do love the train scene, though, because the train was speeding towards, it's just like, just crashes into Godzilla's leg, and he has that look like, oh, what the?
My
foot! Then he just picks it up with his mouth and spits it right back out. Which, again, destruction, awesome in this film.
He killed a lot of people in that movie,
Yeah, it's also one of the weirder ones about this movie, too, is you actually see him actually kill people. Sort of. Like, he breathes his breath and people are like, ah, and then they disappear into the breath.
No. There was that scene, like, when, like, down the street, and there's those people running, he just uses that fire extinguisher, atomic breath. And it's like...
Yeah, get it right.
and, like, he's melting the street and everything, and he just goes over to people, and there's, like, one guy that just, like, twitches for a second. He's gone.
Yeah, especially with the one guy that screams from the car exploding when he breathes fire on it.
Car explodes, and he's like, ah!
Yeah, it's a classic. Ah! And he just got some moves on. This is one that was just like, oh, the fire trucks with the guys with the
oh yeah, oh man, that
with
was
the toy guys hanging off the side of it when he's just like driving in. You can tell when it officially shifts from the people to the dudes because you get these giant guys just hanging on the side of the fire truck that just kind of like rolls and flips over.
That was really good. I enjoyed that scene.
Yeah, it's one of those things like when you're paying attention to it, you catch it a lot more. But overall, it works still. Like, I'm still overall pretty impressed with the overall props and the special effects in this film.
So this would be like Dragon Ball Z. Just watch it and
just watch it and appreciate.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything bad about Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah,
just watch and appreciate. Don't pay attention to the story.
Yeah. So pretty much overall with this film, it's a good movie. Like, especially for it being back in the 50s. Like, this movie came out in 1954, and then the English dub, the one we watched, was in 1956, I believe, is when it got released stateside. And for it being from back then, like, it works. Like, even though it's a fairly simplistic plot, but for what it was still a very revolutionary film from back then. But it's a great movie for what it was, especially for back then. Like, the props work, love the special effects. The suit overall was really good. Even the puppet, like, even though we kind of made fun of it, Still works good, even with his little derpy eyes and all. Acting seems serviceable. Like, especially, like, you could tell, like, the Japanese acting was definitely a lot better, even with some of the dubbed, even though you had Raymond Burr's character kind of there to just kind of, so they didn't have to dub as much of it.
Hey, I'm here. Watch me.
Yeah. So really, the movie could have done without it. So if you guys are going to watch this, I would actually recommend watching the Japanese version, just because you get the plot a little bit more, and he's not really as necessary to this whole story, since he's only really there just to, again, just kind of bring us more American viewers actually into the film a little bit easier.
Alright, so the overall, like Steve said, the movie actually is not that bad. I actually enjoyed a lot more than I thought it would. Just because, like, I seen this, like, 1954, I was like, oh, man, this is going to be rubbish.
Yeah, once you just see the black and white, you just already get that in your head where you're just like, nope.
To be honest with you, I maybe watched a handful of black and white movies, and all those black and white movies were when I was at my mom's house in the cowboy movies, and those things were atrocious. So going into this, I thought it was going to be just as bad, which actually turned out to be so much better, like Steve said. The CGI special effects on the movie, amazing. The suit is okay. Like, the only thing that bugged me was that puppet and his derpy eye. And if you watch it, you know what I'm talking about. And if you didn't and you're going to, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because overall, we recommend the movie for you guys. I'd say I give it about a 4 out of 5, personally. But
that's because he's a Godzilla lover. He's going to support anything Godzilla. He even supports a 98 Godzilla.
There's a few that... we'll get to that. But there's a few Godzilla movies where I'm a little bit more on the downer side. But for the most part, I really enjoyed this movie. So if you guys are going to watch it, definitely recommend watching this one, especially if you haven't seen any of the black and white ones. This is definitely officially the better of the two. We'll get to the next black and white one next Friday. But as an official movie, this is the better of the black and white ones of the two.
What year was the other one made?
Made 1 year later.
Can't be that much bad.
We'll get to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
As you can see, my little friend right here.
That's
Which
him?
sadly, I don't actually own the 54X plus Godzilla.
Why are you slacking for, Steve? Why don't you have it?
This priorities. Which is sad because I actually prioritize this guy over that one. So what do you guys think? Have you guys seen Godzilla 1954? And if you haven't, please go check it out and let us know in the comments below what you guys thought of the film. Help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button. Subscribe to become a ranger today, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, one thing about that part is I remember is that they sacrificed a girl.
Yeah, they were sending girls every year to help appease the monster, which he couldn't have been around that long, right? Like, I think at the time, I forget exactly when the atomic bomb dropped. Hold on, Google. So the Hiroshima bombing happened in 1945, so the film only took place 9 years later. So they were sending out the girl for 9 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sacrificed 9 virgins to Godzilla.
Godzilla loves him some virgins, I guess. Definitely know we're watching a Japanese movie, monster movie.
Oh, that's so wrong.
Get into the hentai realm. Godzilla, I didn't know you were like that.
You learned a lot, Steve.
I learned something new today.